Recently I found myself playing a bit of Vampire Survivors, and it's good. If you're into the kind of experience that fills you up with dopamine, it doesn't really get much more effective than this. The game revolves around a rather satisfying progression system accompanied by particularly crunchy game feel. Our topic today involves some criticisms of the game, which is a subject that people understandably tend to get defensive about. So I want to reiterate that I found the game to be neat. The overall quality of the game, or its low price, should not stop us from covering its shortcomings, as this is not a review, but rather an opportunity to learn something of value about game design. Most of the game's appeal lies in its extrinsic reward systems, which is something I don't personally subscribe to all that much. It's not really my preference. And what's left over if we take that out is gameplay that's rather vacuous. The mechanically primitive structure is fine, not every game needs to be super deep, but the bareness does stand in awkward contrast to the size of the game. There's a lot more content than there is, for lack of better words, stuff going on, a problem that got me thinking about design space. Design space refers to the amount of options a designer has for creating content within some framework of mechanics, as well as the possible interesting secondary mechanics to be squeezed out of some core systems. I think it's easiest to understand when looking at puzzle games. Given some set of puzzle mechanics, you'll eventually start running out of ideas for new unique puzzles, and that's likely because you're reaching the limits of what your design space facilitates. For example, The Witness is known for excellently exploring its design space, meaning that 1. The content of the game reflects almost every unique idea that you can extract from the game's mechanics, and 2. These mechanics explore the bulk of the interesting variations on the same core theme of drawing lines on grids. Design space as a concept doesn't get that much use in game design because of its highly abstract nature. In the process of development, it belongs to the realm of the intuitive. Most designers have a sense of it without necessarily giving it conscious thought, whereas in game analysis, the abstract idea is so far divorced from the player's experience that most games are tricky to analyze with this framework. There's not many games where invoking the topic of design space feels justified, so in this sense the problems in Vampire Survivors really stuck out to me. The basic systems at the center of this game are extremely simple. You move around and your character automatically attacks enemies. Your success is mostly based on dodging a horde and choosing how you upgrade the automatic weapons. There's some secondary mechanics on top of this, but they affect very little in terms of how you interact with the game. Comparing these basic systems to their usage in the game reveals an awkward trend in its design. The content of Vampire Survivors is inflated way past what its design space facilitates. This felt especially on the nose when I tried the Legacy of the Moonspell expansion. The new map has this vibrant, carefully crafted environment, much more alive than the previous maps, but ultimately none of it really affects anything beyond flavor. The design space of your basic moveset only allows so many ways of interacting with the environment. There's hardly any difference between walking around a couple of trees or walking around a slightly more inconvenient house. The same trend permeates the rest of the game as well. There's over 100 different enemies, but their differences are mostly surface level. Very few of them do anything other than just walk straight at you, and even enemies with unique behaviors are interacted with in a very straightforward manner due to your limited moveset. The arsenal of unique weapons to find is definitely more interesting, but falls victim to the same pattern. The differences between how your weapons work aren't enough to add a meaningful variation in how you interact with the game. They all basically do the same thing in slightly different ways and with varying efficiency. None of this really prevents the game from fulfilling its primary purpose as a reward generator / power fantasy. Most of the content doesn't really affect gameplay, but the variance in flavor is a necessary component of these extrinsic rewards. The game doesn't require deep gameplay, but if that is what you're after, there's an important lesson to be learned here about design space. There's a limit on how much unique content a game's mechanics facilitate, and if you want to keep gameplay fresh without entirely relying on reward systems, getting past that limit requires expanding on the game's mechanics. There may also be a limit on adding meaningful mechanics if the fundamental idea of the game isn't all that interesting, although this isn't the case with Vampire Survivors. These limits, which we call design space, are an important part of why some games feel like they explored their core ideas just right, whereas others seem to awkwardly execute on good concepts. The value of this framework comes mainly from its applicability to the most fundamental aspects of a game's design. It's one of the few tools we have for logically approaching the abstract realm of ideas.